The phone rang while I had my hands buried in Tom's closet, sorting his shirts into donation boxes. 5 weeks since the funeral, and I still couldn't bring myself to touch his favorite flannel. The screen showed Marcus Brennan Financial Group, Tom's advisor. Probably something about the life insurance paperwork. I almost didn't answer, but something in the way it kept ringing, insistent, made me swipe to accept. Mrs. Sullivan? Marcus's voice was low, almost urgent. I need you to come to my office right now. And please, this is important, don't mention this call to anyone. Not your son, and especially not Vanessa. Can you do that for me? My stomach dropped. What's wrong? What happened? Ma'am, I can't explain over the phone, but I've found irregularities in Tom's accounts. Serious ones. You need to see this before you sign anything else. Are you planning to meet with the estate attorney today? Yes, in 2 hours. Vanessa set it up. She said it was just standard paperwork. Don't sign anything, please. Just come see me first. I stood there in Tom's closet, his shirt still in my hands, feeling the floor tilt beneath me. 43 years of marriage, and now this. Standard paperwork. That's what Vanessa had said. Sweet, helpful Vanessa, who'd been bringing me casseroles twice a week, who'd held my hand at the funeral, who'd insisted on organizing everything so I wouldn't have to deal with the stress. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said. Marcus's office was downtown, in one of those glass buildings that always made me feel small. His secretary ushered me into a conference room where Marcus sat with a woman I didn't recognize. She stood when I entered, extending her hand. Mrs. Sullivan, I'm Patricia Rowland. I'm an investigator with the Ohio Department of Financial Services. Marcus called me after what he found. My hand started shaking. Investigator? Marcus opened a folder, his face grave. Maggie, Tom and I met every quarter for 30 years. I knew his habits, his risk tolerance, how he managed money. So when I was preparing the estate documents, something jumped out at me. He slid a stack of bank statements across the table. Over the past 18 months, there have been systematic withdrawals from your joint investment account. $3,500 a month. Every month. I stared at the numbers. That can't be right. Tom would have told me. That's what concerned me, Marcus said. So I looked at the authorization. The withdrawals were initiated through online access, using credentials that were reset 14 months ago. The password reset request came from an IP address that doesn't match your home network. Patricia leaned forward. Mrs. Sullivan, do you remember Tom having any health issues about 1.5 years ago? His heart, I said slowly. He started having irregular heartbeat, fatigue. That's what the doctor said killed him, eventually. Cardiac arrest. Did Vanessa help him with his medication? The memory came flooding back. Yes. Tom was so overwhelmed with all the pills, beta blockers, blood thinners. Vanessa had organized everything into one of those weekly pill containers. She'd said it would make it easier for him. Patricia and Marcus exchanged looks. Mrs. Sullivan, the withdrawal pattern started exactly 2 weeks after Vanessa began managing Tom's medication. No, I said, but my voice wavered. Vanessa loves us. She's been amazing. When Tom got really sick those last few months, she took him to cardiology appointments. She picked up his prescriptions. She even stayed with him when I had to work late shifts at the hospital. Did Tom change his will recently? Patricia asked. I frowned. He mentioned something about updating it 6 months ago. Said it was just minor changes. Vanessa had recommended an estate attorney, someone from her yoga studio whose mother had just gone through probate. Tom said it would save us money to use someone Vanessa knew. Marcus pulled out another document. This is a copy of that updated will, the one you're supposed to sign off on this afternoon. I read through it, my confusion growing. But this doesn't make sense. This leaves almost everything to Derek, with Vanessa as the trustee, until he turns 45. Derek's already 41. Exactly, Patricia said, which means Vanessa would control the entire estate for 4 more years. And here's the thing, Mrs. Sullivan. Your husband came to see me 6 weeks before he died. She pulled out a sealed envelope, my name written on it in Tom's handwriting, the handwriting that got shaky toward the end, when his hands wouldn't stop trembling. He said if anything happened to him, I should give this to you only after we'd shown you the financial irregularities. He was very specific about that. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a USB drive and a letter, dated 5 days before Tom died. Maggie, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry to leave you with this, but you need to know the truth. Vanessa has been stealing from us. I figured it out 3 months ago when I tried to log into our investment account and couldn't. When I finally got in, I saw the withdrawals. All of them traced to times when Vanessa had been at the house, times when she was helping me with the computer or showing me how to check our accounts online. I confronted her. She cried, said she was in financial trouble, promised to pay everything back, begged me not to tell Derek, so I agreed to keep quiet while she figured out a repayment plan. But then my symptoms got worse. Much worse. I started reading about the medications I was taking, comparing them to what was actually in those pill organizers Vanessa prepared. Maggie, the pills don't match. I saved samples in the garage, in the paint can marked exterior white, 2019. I also saved hair samples in the toolbox, bottom drawer, in the envelope marked lawnmower warranty. I think she's poisoning me. I think this isn't just theft anymore. I've documented everything on this USB drive. Recordings of our conversations, screenshots of the withdrawals, photos of the medications. I've also included my medical records and the pills I'm supposed to be taking versus what I'm actually being given. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I needed proof first, and I didn't want you to have to carry this while I was still here. You would have confronted her. You would have protected me. That's who you are. But Maggie, if I'm right about what she's doing, confronting her might put you in danger too. Please show this to Marcus. He knows to contact the authorities. And please, please don't let her know you suspect anything until the police are involved. I love you. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. I'm sorry I let her into our lives like this. Protect yourself. Protect Derek. He's going to need you. All my love, Tom. The letter blurred as tears fell onto the paper. He knew. My husband knew he was being poisoned and he didn't tell me because he was trying to protect me. Mrs. Sullivan, Patricia said gently, we've already begun an investigation. We obtained a warrant for Tom's medical records and the pill samples he mentioned. She paused. Maggie, your husband wasn't taking his heart medication for the last 4 months of his life. What Vanessa was giving him were supplements mixed with carefully calibrated doses of digoxin, a heart medication that in excess can cause the exact symptoms Tom experienced. Murder, I whispered. We're working with the coroner to exhume Tom's body for a full toxicology panel. But yes, we have reason to believe his death wasn't natural. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Mom, all set for 2 p.m. with the attorney? I'll pick you up at 1:30. Can't wait to get this paperwork finalized so you can start fresh. Start fresh. She wanted me to sign away Tom's estate so she could control everything. What do I do? I asked. Patricia pulled out a small device. We need you to wear this wire to the attorney meeting. Act normal. Sign whatever she wants you to sign, but try to get her talking about the money, about Tom's health, about why this will needed to change. Can you do that? You want me to pretend nothing's wrong? To sit next to the woman who killed my husband and act like she's family? I know it's hard, but we need her confession on record. Right now, we have evidence of financial fraud and suspicious medication management. A recording of her admitting to what she did would make the case ironclad. I thought of Tom, those last months, how tired he was, how his hands shook, how he'd look at Vanessa sometimes with this expression I couldn't quite read. Fear? Resignation? He'd known and he'd endured it, gathering evidence, trying to protect me even as he died. I'll do it, I said. The next 3 hours were the longest of my life. I sat in my living room, wearing a wire taped to my ribs, waiting for Vanessa to pick me up. When she arrived, all smiles and efficiency, I had to swallow the rage that threatened to choke me. How are you holding up, Mom? She asked as we drove. I know this paperwork stuff is overwhelming. I'm managing, I said, keeping my voice steady. Thank you for setting this up. Of course. That's what family does. She reached over and patted my hand. Tom would want us to take care of you. I stared out the window, thinking about the paint can in the garage, the toolbox in the basement, evidence of how Vanessa had taken care of Tom. At the attorney's office, a man I'd never met gestured to chairs around a large table. Mrs. Sullivan, I'm Jeffrey Chen. I've reviewed the will and prepared the documents for your signature. This is fairly straightforward. Your husband's estate, valued at approximately $1.2 million between investments, life insurance, and home equity, will be held in trust for your son Derek, with his wife Vanessa as trustee until he reaches age 45. Wait, I said, as if confused. Why isn't Derek the trustee? Mr. Chen glanced at Vanessa. The will specifies that given Derek's busy schedule and lack of financial experience, it would be more prudent to have Mrs. Sullivan manage the assets. Vanessa smiled. Derek's so focused on his medical practice, Mom. He doesn't have time to deal with investment decisions and estate management. This way, I can handle all of that, and he can focus on his patients. But what about me? I asked. What do I live on? You'll receive a monthly stipend from the trust, Mr. Chen said. $3,000 a month. $3,000. The same amount Vanessa had been stealing for 18 months. The same amount she'd continue stealing, only now it would be legal. That seems low, I said. Our monthly expenses were always higher than that. Vanessa leaned forward. Mom, that's why we think it might be better if you moved into a smaller place, maybe one of those senior living communities. They include meals, activities. You wouldn't have to worry about maintenance or bills. You want me to sell the house? The house Tom and I bought 43 years ago? It's just so big for one person, Vanessa said, her voice dripping with concern. And it would free up equity. The trust could use that money for better investment opportunities. Better investments. Or gambling debts. I remembered Patricia mentioning they'd found evidence of Vanessa's casino visits, her mounting credit card debt. Before I sign, I said slowly, can I ask you something? Vanessa's smile didn't waver. Of course. Why did Tom change his will 6 months ago? We'd always planned to leave everything to Derek directly. Her eyes flickered. Just for a second, Tom was worried about Derek making impulsive decisions. He thought having a trustee would protect the money. But Tom trusted Derek completely. What changed? Vanessa's smile grew tight. Tom's health was declining. He wasn't always thinking clearly toward the end. He seemed clear to me, I said, right up until the last week. Well, you were working so much, Vanessa said, an edge creeping into her voice. I was with him more during the day. I saw how confused he'd get, how forgetful. Tom's favorite color was blue. What was his favorite food? Vanessa blinked. What? If you spent so much time with him, you'd know. Mom, what is this about? Tom's favorite food was my pot roast with extra carrots. His favorite color was green, not blue, because it reminded him of my eyes. And he wasn't confused at all, Vanessa. He knew exactly what was happening. Her face went pale. I don't understand what you're suggesting. I'm suggesting that the man who meticulously managed our finances for 40 years wouldn't suddenly decide to leave everything in a trust that cuts his wife's income to barely survivable levels. I'm suggesting that the man who trusted his son completely wouldn't suddenly appoint his daughter-in-law as trustee without talking to me about it. This is grief talking, Vanessa said, standing. Mr. Chen, maybe we should reschedule. Sit down, Vanessa. Excuse me? I said sit down. We're not done here. She sat slowly, her eyes wary. Mom, you're upset. I understand. Where's the $63,000 you stole from our investment account? The color drained from her face completely. I don't, Tom never said. Tom knew. He knew for months. He documented everything. Every withdrawal. Every forged signature. Every lie. Vanessa's hands clenched. He said he wouldn't tell. He promised if I paid it back, he wouldn't tell anyone. But you weren't paying it back, were you? You were paying off gambling debts, and when Tom threatened to go to the police, you had to stop him. Her eyes widened. No, that's not his heart. His heart was fine until you started switching his medications. Until you started giving him pills that would make his heart stop. You can't prove that, she whispered. Can't I? Tom saved the pills. He saved hair samples. He recorded your conversations. He left everything for the police. The door opened. Detective Morrison walked in with 2 uniformed officers. Vanessa Chen, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and suspicion of murder. Vanessa lunged from her chair, but an officer caught her arm. "You don't understand. I needed that money. The yoga studio was failing. I was going to lose everything." "So you killed my husband?" My voice broke. "He welcomed you into our family. He trusted you with his medication, his life. He was going to ruin me," she screamed. "One phone call to Derek and I'd lose everything. My marriage, my reputation. I couldn't let that happen." Mr. Chen stood frozen, his face ashen. "Detective, I had no knowledge of any of this." "We know," the detective said. "Thank you for your cooperation." As they led Vanessa out in handcuffs, she twisted to look at me. "I'm sorry," she said, and for just a moment, I saw something real in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Mom." "Don't call me that. You were never family." After she was gone, I sat in the conference room, shaking. Patricia appeared with a bottle of water. "You did great," she said. "That recording will be crucial evidence. I need to call Derek. We already contacted him. He's on his way here." My son arrived 20 minutes later, his face devastated. "Mom," they told me. They said Vanessa. "That dad." He collapsed into the chair next to me, and I held him while he sobbed. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I'm so sorry I didn't see it. I brought her into our lives." "You didn't know," I said. "None of us knew. Except your father." I showed him Tom's letter. Derek read it through tears, his hands trembling like his father's had those last weeks. He was protecting us. Even dying, he was protecting us. "That's love," I said. "That's what real love looks like." The trial took 8 months. Vanessa pleaded not guilty at first, claimed Tom had given her permission for the withdrawals, that his death was natural. But Tom's documentation was devastating. The USB drive had audio recordings of Vanessa begging him not to tell, promising to pay the money back, crying about her debts. The toxicology report showed lethal levels of digoxin in Tom's system, and the pills he'd saved proved they didn't match his prescriptions. Phone records showed Vanessa had called 3 different poison control centers, asking hypothetical questions about digoxin overdose symptoms. The jury convicted her on all counts: fraud, forgery, and first-degree murder. The judge gave her life without parole. Derek struggled. He blamed himself, went to therapy, took a leave from his practice. "How did I not see?" he asked me one evening over dinner. "I lived with her for 7 years. How did I not know what she was capable of?" "Because she was good at pretending," I said. "Because people who truly love us don't expect that kind of evil. That's not a flaw, Derek. That's your humanity." Dad saw it. "Your father was a nurse's husband. He learned to spot the small signs, the inconsistencies, and even he didn't want to believe it at first. It was Patricia who suggested I channel my grief into something productive. 6 months after the trial, I used Tom's life insurance money to start the Thomas Sullivan Foundation for Elder Financial Protection. We provide free legal consultations for seniors, educational workshops about financial fraud, and support groups for families dealing with financial elder abuse. Derek works with me, speaking to medical groups about warning signs, about how caregivers can become predators, about documentation and vigilance. We've helped over 300 families in the past year. We've stopped fraudulent power of attorney filings, connected victims with resources, taught adult children how to protect their aging parents without infantilizing them. Last week, a man came to our office. His mother's caregiver had been unusually insistent about managing her finances. We connected him with a financial forensic accountant who found $40,000 in unauthorized withdrawals. We stopped it before it went any further. "You saved my mother's life," he told me. "No," I said. "You saved her by trusting your instincts. We just gave you the tools." I visit Tom's grave every week. I tell him about the foundation, about the families we've helped, about Derek's progress. "You were right to document everything," I say. "Your evidence didn't just bring justice. It's saving lives now." I still miss him constantly. I miss his terrible singing in the shower, his habit of leaving coffee cups all over the house, his way of squeezing my hand 3 times to say I love you. I miss the retirement we'd planned, the grandchildren we'd hoped for. But I also understand now what he gave me. He could have told me immediately when he discovered the theft. He could have let me share the burden of his suspicions. Instead, he quietly gathered evidence, He protected me from fear and doubt. He made sure that when the truth came out, it would be undeniable. That's the hardest kind of love. The kind that makes impossible choices and lives with unbearable secrets. The kind that sacrifices peace for protection. Derek is healing too. He's dating again, carefully. He's learned to watch for red flags, to trust his instincts, to ask questions. Last month, on what would have been Tom's 68th birthday, Derek and I planted a tree at the community center where we hold our workshops. The plaque reads, "In memory of Thomas Sullivan, who taught us that love sometimes means standing alone in the truth. We're not the same family we were. We never will be. Vanessa's betrayal carved out pieces of us that will never grow back. But we're building something new, something forged in the understanding that family isn't just about blood or vows. Family is about who shows up with truth, even when it's hard. Who protects you, even when it costs them everything." Tom showed up, Marcus showed up, Patricia showed up, and now Derek and I show up for other families facing the same nightmare. I've learned that the people who truly love you don't always make life easier. Sometimes they make it harder by being honest with you. They trust you with difficult truths. They give you the tools to protect yourself, even if they can't be there to do it themselves. Tom's letter ends with "all my love." For months, I couldn't read past that without breaking down. Now I see it differently. He gave me all his love, every bit of it, even the painful parts, even the parts that required me to be stronger than I thought I could be. That's the greatest gift anyone can give. The belief that you can survive, that you can handle the truth, that you're strong enough to fight back. I was strong enough, and I'm using that strength to help others discover their own. 5 weeks after my husband's funeral, his financial advisor called with a warning that changed everything. But it wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. One where I choose who I become, who I help, how I honor the man who loved me enough to give me the truth. And that, I'm learning, is its own kind of happy ending. If you're watching this and something feels wrong in your life, trust that feeling. If someone is pressuring you to sign documents you don't understand, stop. If your finances don't add up, investigate. If someone is isolating a loved one or making decisions without family input, ask questions. You are not alone. You are not powerless. And you deserve to have your voice heard, your concerns taken seriously, your dignity protected. Tom taught me that. Even in death, he's still teaching me, still protecting me, still showing me what real love looks like. I hope this story helps someone out there. I hope it gives you permission to ask hard questions, to demand answers, to protect yourself and the people you love. And I hope it reminds you that it's never too late. Never too late to fight back, to start over, to become the person you need to be. Thank you for listening to my story. Stay safe out there. Trust your instincts, document everything, and remember, the people who truly love you want you to be empowered, not controlled.